What design platform will you choose for your startup? The initial cost and IT overhead of a traditional CAD solution may be too constraining. Your success relies on a lean approach to product development because you fill all the roles. You need broad capabilities and a flexible way to use them. The solution is SOLIDWORKS Cloud. Your product design started with an idea, and ideas start with a sketch that you can transform into 3D in any browser on any connected device. Create features with engineered precision so you can print functional prototypes or output directly to CNC. Explore alternative designs and capture revision history with built-in cloud data management. Conceptualize and fast-track new product designs with free-form subdivisional modeling. With this push-pull approach, it's never been easier to create manufacturable, complex, organic shapes. Design bent and formed sheet metal parts and produce flat pattern output that's ready for fabrication. Assemble components with intelligent mating tools as well as time-saving automation that predicts assembly behavior. Your design tools and your data follow you wherever you work, and there's never any software or updates to install. But in a startup company, you're responsible for more than just product design. Create weldments and frames for tooling or fixturing. Generate realistic product renderings and colorways leveraging cloud computing resources. And of course, provide manufacturing documentation to get your products built. How do you want to work? You have many roles to fill, so you can't afford to be slowed down by disconnected tools. You need an all-inclusive product development solution that provides the flexibility and freedom to innovate from a brand you can trust. To learn more about SOLIDWORKS Cloud, contact your local reseller. Creating complex shapes and surfaces is a time-consuming process with traditional 3D modeling tools. It can be difficult to bring your product ideas to life. 3D Sculptor gives you powerful subdivision modeling on the cloud, all in a browser, on any connected device. 3D Sculptor is built around the X-Shape modeling app, which takes a simpler, free-form approach that unlocks endless design possibilities. Subdivision modeling is like sculpting a hunk of digital clay. It all starts with a primitive shape or surface. Push, pull, rotate, and scale with the on-screen manipulator to achieve any shape imaginable. X-Shape is perfect for industrial designers, but it's so easy to learn, anyone in product design could pick it up and make something incredible. Curvature continuity is maintained throughout, but if sharp edges are needed, add a crease. Turning out lots of concepts is easy with this simplified modeling approach. Refine designs with real-time validation tools like zebra stripes, draft analysis, and thickness check. Add manufacturing details with a full palette of parametric modeling features. All of your work is safely stored in the cloud, accessible on any connected device, and there's never any software or updates to install. Revision and lifecycle management is built in, as well as collaboration and task management. Exchanging data in most popular 3D formats is as easy as sharing a secure link. 3D printing is just a click away. And of course, X-Shape seamlessly integrates with SOLIDWORKS Desktop so you can incorporate subdivision modeling into your existing designs. How do you want to work? Designing complex shapes and surfaces should be creative, not constraining. It's time to consider 3D Sculptor for a simpler, free-form approach that unlocks endless design possibilities. And that's not all. SOLIDWORKS has a full suite of modular cloud design apps for parametric modeling, sheet metal, weldments, and more, so you only pay for what you need. To learn more, contact your local value-added reseller.
This year, a big theme of what's new in SOLIDWORKS 2023 is giving you the tools that you need to help you work smarter, faster, and together.
The platform gives us countless apps, the power of everything DS to sew and generate So high-end simulation with Simulia, collaborations.
Everything is kind of rolled up into one nice little dashboard that we can get everything done in one place.
What's nice is that now you can just simply go up to the open dialog and you have the option of browsing the platform, much like I would my normal Windows. I can search within that structure and find what it is I'm looking for, select it, hit open, and now it just pulls it local.
Anything you create in Xshape or Xdesign for that matter can be brought directly into SolidWorks.
A few years ago, we introduced the render pipeline, which was enabled using this checkbox. This is like a 3 times faster performance. Not only you get that performance, but you get that performance reliably.
Favorite command in particular, mesh inspection, you'll see here it actually highlights overlapping faces that definitely would have caused manufacturing issues down the line.
It's all about enabling designers to create more manufacturable designs.
They're really usable enhancements. They're things that as soon as you get into the software and start using it, you're going to find yourself automatically just using them. They're right there. We've added a whole entire rendering engine to the software as well in the form of the Stellar, and that is a DS native rendering engine. We have quite a bit of exciting things that have been added into this year's release for Visualize, and like I said, I'll forcibly cut myself off here so we don't take the rest of the afternoon.
Now I'm going to teach you 3 tips that took my CAD skills to the next level.
Okay.
It's going to be convert entities, something that I called peeking and hiding the sketches. If we go back in time, when the dinosaurs existed, here we go. This is all we have. This is the design intent. And this defines, these 9 features here define the entire part, all right here. So if you ever need to change anything, you just come up here.
One thing I've seen before that users can do is they, when they create that like sketch 2 that you show there in your core group, they, instead of just doing a convert, you could do an offset from the other sketch entities in one of your skeleton sketches. Would you recommend doing that, or would you recommend doing that kind of offset dimension in the skeleton group?
Well, if you think about it, the offset will ask you how much do you want to offset by.
Right.
And that means that you're going to have design intent in the core group.
Right.
But again, I want to remind you, you are the master of RCM. And if it doesn't make sense to put that feature, that, what do you call it? The feature that I just called?
Yeah, the offset dimension.
The offset, thank you. If it doesn't make sense to make an offset in your master sketch, then don't do it. By all means, it's fine. Imagine if you pull up this skeleton group, and how many bodies we got? Look, 7. Now, this is about the size that you want to get to. If it starts getting more complex than this, if say there's a switch in here that has multiple bodies, you should probably open that. What I would do is create a new part file, and then make that switch in that part file, and then import both of these into an assembly so you can make them together.
And this is our drone frame. It's made out of ABS plastic, 4 inches by 4 inches length and width, only 1 inch tall. Customer wants 10 of them, and the defining characteristics are lightweight, durability, and it needs to be inexpensive. So before we jump into it, I just want to preface all the parts we go through today. You can subtractive manufacture the ones we would recommend using additive for, and vice versa. You could injection mold these, you could whittle them with a stick, as one of our producers pointed out. But this is just our recommendations, for this specific criteria and the additive and subtractive requirements. So let us know in the chat how you would make this, if you would go the additive route or the subtractive route. This is a multi-material part. It's got rigid ABS outer shell with a rubber TPU inner shell. So around 11 by 8 by 6.5 inches. The quantity is 10, but the customer wants different sizes and colors. And defining characteristics are multi-material, multicolor, and they want to use this for visual and fit testing. So let us know quickly in the chat if you're thinking additive or subtractive. We got additive manufacturing, and this is an important one because it points out a really important defining characteristic that makes additive different from subtractive. In subtractive manufacturing, you have your block or material that you're cutting away from, and it's usually a singular color or material. Whereas in additive, you have the ability to deposit colors and materials in specific areas. So this is commonly used to differentiate support material from model material. We could break away supports for overhanging angles, but you could also use this to differentiate different parts of the same model. So we can print a flexible inner shell and a rigid outer shell. Some additive technologies even take this further, and instead of just using separate nozzles to deposit separate materials, they can mix those materials and colors as well. So you could get qualities of both materials in one. This capability would be great for this case economically, because if the customer is interested in running several tests, or let's say visual fit testing, they need to make a lot of iterations, it's likely they're going to need to make variations, different colors, different sizes.
You've got up on the screen the product that we're going to walk through today, right?
Yeah, so what I'm showing here is the Kickstarter campaign from a few years ago. And what you'll see is what we were building was a sort of a modern timepiece that keeps you focused, present, and mindful. That's kind of the vision of the Prompt Anti-Watch. We have several components in the system. And the system I'm calling sort of the timepiece or the watch itself. Let's see if I can get my mouse to stop rolling. All right. We have a glass lens, which is back painted and laser ablated to help sort of let the light through. We have this machined upper bezel. We have the printed circuit board itself here with some VHB double-sided adhesive film that's die cut that lets the light come through the housing and through the glass. We have another piece of VHB or die cut adhesive here that attaches what we're calling the battery holder. And this is kind of an alignment component. And then we have the battery, we have an O-ring for a seal, and then we have an isolating a piece of Kapton tape die cut to fit into the inside of the rear housing. So a handful of components, each of them very unique, no common parts in the assembly, and everything, all the components from the PCB to the die cut adhesive to the cuts in the housing to the laser etched numbers in the lens all need to be perfectly aligned with the hours on the clock, right? And perfectly aligned so that light doesn't escape somewhere within the device.
Okay, got it. And so this is the top level assembly of the watch face, and you're showing it basically in an exploded view right now.
That's correct. Yep. Okay. So if I collapse the device, here's the device as it is. You can sort of see through where the laser ablated paint would be on the back side of the glass lens. And if I do just a quick section cutaway view, you can see how tightly everything is packed into this device. I'm holding it here in my hand. It's very small and it's very dense. We were trying to add weight to give this thing a really premium feel.
Interesting.
So almost every space within the device that's not air, we were trying to fill with metal so that we could have a really dense design.
Okay.
There were some competing priorities. If I do just a straight-on side view, you can see that this glass lens, outlined in blue, is sort of a concave shape. And that's to bring that thumb's touch surface down as close in contact with the capacitive sensor on the board as possible.
Interesting.
And that concave shape, as well as sort of the angle of this outside face and the angle of the outside edge, all of these sort of the form factor was coming from the industrial design, and then I was trying to fit everything back inside from a mechanical standpoint.
Okay.
So that's the assembly. Let me just open up the master and show you what this looks like. All right, so my tree over here on the left is, I try to organize things in folders. Some people don't do that, but I have internal components, I have bezel components, which is kind of the front and rear pieces, and then I have the lens itself. And then above all of that, I have my master model. And the reason I put this in here and I suppress it is to make sure that every time I pack and go this assembly, I get a copy of that master that comes along for the ride. And it's always going to be suppressed, but I know that if I'm editing this master in this assembly, that all my links to these parts will be updating.
Okay, because that is the interesting thing about this style of modeling is there's a lot of power, but there are a fair number of just kind of best practices and things that's helpful to be aware of, right, as you're going through this.
Correct. Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Whoa, I am freezing right now, but you're here. Welcome to SOLIDWORKS Live. The best way that you can help me to warm up today before we get started, we have a lot of content, a lot of great content, best of SOLIDWORKS 2022 edition content to get to. Please subscribe, like the video. That'll really warm my heart here during this holiday season. But what is this episode really all about? You know, we titled it the Best of SOLIDWORKS 2022 edition. And really what it's about is the most viewed content from you guys, the community, and highlighting a lot of those efforts. And that's not just content that was made by us here at SOLIDWORKS. No, as we'll discuss today, we have tons of guests. A lot of that was made by you guys, right? Our user community. And some of that was actually published to the SOLIDWORKS channel this year. So on the live streaming side, which is what I run here, you know, we made a few cool changes. One of which was with Live Design. So Live Design, half the episodes in the 20 episode flight that we had this year were actually made by users. So that's, you know, maker projects, industry projects from users all over the world. And those were some of the most viewed episodes of the year. I think you guys actually beat us, to be honest. You beat the employees here at SOLIDWORKS and Dassault Systèmes in terms of the amount of views you got on Live Design. So kudos to you, and thank you all for watching. But it wasn't just Live Design, right? We did 12 episodes of SOLIDWORKS Live, not even counting 3D Experience World earlier this year, 3 full days of programming, which, not to spoil it, but we're going to be doing that again here upcoming in February with 3D Experience World 2023, which we'll talk a lot about in this episode, right? So we had SOLIDWORKS Live, Manufacturing Live with industry-leading manufacturing conversation, keeping up with the trends in the industry. So we hope you've enjoyed the content from this year. We're going to be highlighting a lot of the best of that content. And it's not just us, right? I mentioned users, but also not just content that's been published on the SOLIDWORKS YouTube, on our LinkedIn, with our live streaming content. We also have creators out there who have their own channels, hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, millions of views, well-earned influence, who will be with us for a first ever channel panel towards the end of this episode. So I'm really excited to get into that. But as you can see my teeth are chattering. I'm freezing. I'm trying to maintain body heat. This jacket's helping a little bit. I think I might be going inside. Hey, what are you doing here?
How are you, Sean?
GP, how are you? I'm sorry if my hands are clammy or if they're frozen solid.
Almost, yeah.
But no, it's
I keep
good
warm
to see
with this
you.
beautiful hat. Good to see you.
I know. I can see you have a suit on, but you have this hat, and the hat's keeping you warm.
Yes.
Somehow you're maintaining body heat a lot better than I am with this this jacket.
Doing my best. Stormy out there. Huh?
Yeah, it is definitely winter out here on the East Coast in Massachusetts. But welcome to SOLIDWORKS Live. Obviously, you're no stranger to the live stage. We've had a really big year on the live streaming front in 2022. We saw in the countdown, we saw that the live stream for What's New 2023 is actually surging towards 100,000 views. So by far our most viewed live stream ever. And thank you guys so much for continuing to take in that content that we created just a couple of months ago. But from your standpoint, GP, I can talk about live streaming all day, and surely that's a topic of key interest to me. 2022, we're closing towards the end here. You're in charge of a lot, right? You're the executive VP of 3D Experience Works. So we talk a lot about 3D Experience, a lot about SOLIDWORKS, right? Year in retrospect, 2022, what did it mean to you from the software side, what you saw out there in industry, with customers, with technology? What are some of your insights there?
Well, Sean, that's a very, very good question. And first of all, congratulations for the viewership of the channel. What you guys do is amazing. The community is amazing. So
Thank you.
I have 2 things that I learned in 2022 for me are the highlights. I would like to start with the community. What I've seen is the ability of the SolidWorks community to react in a very impactful ways to the challenges. And the way they are able to transform challenges into opportunities. This was amazing. I just make one example. This year we had an energy crisis all over the world. Mm-hmm. And I've seen our community to react, put together their ideas and imagination and transform it into an opportunity to push more towards sustainability, because this would help manage the energy crisis. So I see this way of seeing problems and working on them collectively in a very innovative way, using technology and using also our tools. There are a lot of startups in our community that go in that direction. That was lesson number one, and it never stops amazing me. Is not that the fact that we have an impactful community is new, but this year we had challenges over challenges, as everybody knows. And this is my take on point number one.
That's the first thing you've processed?
Yeah.
You must have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. The other one you mentioned, 3D Experience Works, we are in the middle of a transformation. We speak a lot of the importance to think about platform, our strategy, connecting the SolidWorks community to a platform where collaboration is easier, is more powerful, where data are safer. I think 2022 was the year where I got a lot of very positive feedback on our direction. So many customers are coming to us saying, yes, we need a place where we are always connected, always up to date. Everybody has access to the tools, the data, and all the assets that they need to do their job. And everybody is in the same place, always connected again and up to date. This is in essence the spirit of what we do with 3D Experience Works. We have this amazing community and technology called SolidWorks. We know very well that we see that to make a greater design happen, you need many more things in addition to design. And this is what we're trying to give to our community. And the community is reacting very positively. Those two were my best highlights in 2022, Sean.
That's awesome. No, that's great. And I appreciate you being out here with me in the cold wilderness here in Massachusetts. But no, that's great to hear, right? And as 2022 comes to a close, we had 3D Experience World a little bit earlier this year with 2022. But now we're heading into 3D Experience World 2023, and we'll be in person again for the first time in a few years, right? With our entire worldwide community, in person, both online and in person. But talk to us a little bit about that in-person aspect. What are some of the can't miss experiences that our audience can look forward to getting in Nashville?
Yeah. So first of all, we will be back in Nashville. So in a way, we pick up where we left the last live event, and we are very happy and proud to be able to be in person. Well, first of all, for everybody that is coming on in person, there will be a backpack. I know it's a very...
It's funny, we were talking about this on set, right before. I'm not going to give anything away. I might be wearing some swag today that I think you guys will find pretty funny. I'm dressed like a total goofball today. But we always talk about it, right? Like the backpacks are a huge deal.
Yes, and we appreciate that, and we like the idea of giving everybody something to take home and to remember the experience. The experience live, of course, is special, is different. And when you do it in the city of music, of course, it goes to another dimension. Of course, we will be connected. We want everybody to connect and have the most of the world. In person, what will be, I don't want to spoil the surprise. There will be surprises, but very importantly, there will be a very long list of customers that are coming with amazing stories. We will talk about the impact that these customers are having on our lives and on society in general. So, the theme of 3D Experience World is across the year is about imagination, right? It is imagine. Imagine what you can do if we come all together. We are empowered by tools, technology, by knowledge and know-how. Imagine what we can achieve. And we want to talk about the fact that what we do together is going to have an impact, because we have that scale, quite frankly. I mean, 100,000 viewers means a lot, because it's 100,000, a community of 100,000 people that, in a way, we share the same ideals and the same passion. So, and this has an impact. This has an impact, and we will show to what extent this impact is happening, and we will show it the best way we can, which is through the walls of our own clients. So we will have a lineup of very, very amazing clients.
Yeah, I was actually out in Nashville. I was telling GP just a moment ago. I was out in Nashville last week. We were filming some stuff. We'll be showing you on Live at World. We're doing again, 8 hours of programming. For those of you who won't be able to make it to Nashville, we're out there seeing Gibson Guitars and Shoals Technology Group talking about what they're doing and picture all that industry insight. Guitar making, energy balance of systems with Shoals, right? With solar and renewable energy, like you mentioned, with sustainability. Those people being shoulder to shoulder with you in Nashville and being able to glean those industry insights and take them back to your jobs, your workplaces, so you guys can make better products and make connections. I can go on and on and on. I'm sure we all could. We could do 3 straight hours of just what we're excited about for World. But I was intending to go back inside a long time ago. You were here. I wanted to talk to you. But GP, thank you so much for stopping by here. Yeah. You need to get inside as well. You can't be getting sick around the holiday season. But like GP said, 3D Experience World, right? It's coming up. We actually have a teaser trailer to show you guys as we transition inside that we can take a look at right here. I see some of you said I was underdressed for an executive meeting. How unkind of you. Hey, I was out there in the cold. You can't really say too much about me there. Well, hey, that's a signal. I am looking at the YouTube live chat. This is indeed live. I'm feeling much cozier. I have my handy TV remote here. Wearing some pajamas. These are really comfortable. Maybe a little bit too big, but hey, I like my pajamas ill-fitting. So I mentioned, at the top of this episode, this is the best of SOLIDWORKS in 2022 edition of SOLIDWORKS Live, our year-end episode. We showcased at the very beginning of the episode some of our most viewed content, right? It's stuff that we're not necessarily serving up to you now as like the best content, but stuff that you guys just sort of proved is some of the best, right? Just through your attention and your viewership, and thank you so much for that. But GP isn't the only guest we're going to have today, right? I mentioned that at the very beginning of the episode. But let's see. Do we have a guest here? If I just turn on this TV, let's see if this remote works. See if the batteries have been changed. Oh, look who it is. It's my good friend Dan Wagner, who runs the SOLIDWORKS User Group Network. Dan, how's it going?
Pretty good, Sean. How are you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, there are people worldwide right now, Dan, who are watching, tuning in on YouTube, on LinkedIn, just like every live episode. We do one of these a month. And GP mentioned, sometimes those get a lot of viewership, a lot of attention. And I'm really thankful. First of all, thankful that we have, so many of you that care to see, what's going on in the community and care to see what's going on here at SOLIDWORKS. But Dan, the group that you preside over, the SOLIDWORKS User Group Network, that's a big part of what you do. You preside over some of our most passionate, proud, skilled community members worldwide. But people are jumping into SOLIDWORKS all the time. People are jumping into the SWGN, the SOLIDWORKS User Group Network, all the time. First of all, for our newer viewers, our newer community members, what is the SOLIDWORKS User Group Network?
Yeah, for sure. I was watching you and GP talk all about 3D Experience World and how it's about connecting people, right? That's the whole purpose of that event, is to connect our users. And that's actually the same purpose behind SWGN, behind the User Group Network, is to connect SOLIDWORKS users all over the world. So 3D Experience World is about doing it for a period of 3 or 4 days. Swugin is all about connecting people throughout the year, right? Throughout the entire year. These are typically physical meetings where SolidWorks users are getting together on their own time to network with each other, to see different presentations about different technical aspects of the software. And actually, over the last couple of years, a silver lining of everything that happened over the last couple of years was we also transitioned into being able to do that virtually in a big way as well. So Swugin is all about connecting SolidWorks users all over the world, either physically or virtually, allowing them to network with each other, share tips and tricks, and really just become better SolidWorks users.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. You know, I before I took over live streaming here, we worked on the same team, right? And I started off the Champions program, which, by the way, just wanted to show off. You know, I have the Champions mug, the Champions tumbler here.
Still have the mug.
I use it. I use it. No lie, I use it every single day. And I think some people think I'm a little bit loopy for, you know, drinking iced coffee after I was out in the cold there. But hey, that's my thing.
No, it's totally cool. And actually, the live chat, I think, was assuming there's at least some eggnog or something in there as well. So, you know, happy holidays.
Well, you and I, we're both from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is good for eggnog, right?
Very true. That is very true.
But yeah, you mentioned it, and even some of the B-roll that we saw. You know, some people might be thinking, if I want to become a user group leader, if I want to go to user group meetings, am I just seeing, you know, let's just talk about the in-person stuff, right? The in-person meetings. Am I just seeing, you know, software? Am I just seeing software demos? That's kind of missing the point, right? It's, yes, you'll learn software tips and tricks, different ways of doing things, a lot like you will in live design, right? But there's another aspect to it. There's that connection aspect where you get to meet people, whether it's in a Zoom room, right? Or maybe you're talking about SolidWorks, maybe you're talking about the work that you do, maybe you're talking about hiring trends, whatever it is. You're making new contacts.
For sure.
That's a huge part of it. And you're also, especially for the in-person stuff, like we just showed on that clip there, maybe you're taking a factory tour. Maybe you're getting a bite to eat together. These meetings, we fund them, right? And this is a great way to get connected with others, meet others in the industry, you know, maybe have a bite to eat, and then, you know, see what other companies are doing even, right?
Yeah, that's really what these meetings are all about. I think as a SolidWorks user, and this is probably true for any technical software, any program, is it's easy to kind of get stuck in your bubble where, you know, you design sheet metal parts and that you do that all day long and you consistently do that through maybe a good portion of your career. So it's easy to get stuck in that bubble, and Swugin and in some of the other networking opportunities we've talked about here, like the Champions program and go into 3D Experience World. These are all things that help you break out of that bubble and meet other designers, meet other people that would tackle a project maybe in a different way than you would. You just have to take that step. You just have to join one of these programs and attend one of these sessions, right? And you have so much to gain from it.
Very cool, very cool. And on the live side, right, on the live streaming side, one of the most viewed episodes of the year was actually something called Slug Me 7. So if you're unfamiliar with what that is, right, Dan will talk about it more in a moment, but that stands for the SolidWorks largest user group meeting ever. You probably could figure that the 7 means it's the 7th edition. I won't go on too much longer. You know, it's your deal, Dan, you know, as well as the entire community coming together. But, you know, tell us a little bit about what Slug Me 7 was.
Yeah, and quite honestly, it's not even my deal. It's the user group leaders, the committee who puts these things together. We're seeing Todd Blackshear, Eric Beatty, Cam Smith, some of these guys who have worked on this project in previous years. We had internally the best of the best, right? Jason, Andy, Jordan, some of these names I know we've seen on live with you before. This was the 7th iteration of Slug Me, this huge meeting. And last year, the 6th iteration, we did a 24-hour long plus broadcast. So that was kind of hard to top. So this year we said, you know what, let's empower the community. Let's put together huge charitable projects or charitable programs, do them throughout the year, do them from, you know, roughly April through August. And then in September, let's have a broadcast or a 6-hour party where we can recap all these projects, interview these people, talk about the amazing things that we did as a community throughout the year. And it really came together, Sean. I mean, we supported some awesome projects. Peruvian Hearts, for example, is a nonprofit in Peru that enables Peruvian women to get technical education and continued into higher level, college level degrees. So it was a great partnership. We have a really cool SolidWorks user group in Peru, so we are able to make a pretty awesome connection there. That was just one example. So yeah, it turned out to be an awesome project. The broadcast that we did in September, we had over 4,000 people view the live stream. And that was just that day. That was just that single day. We had over 4,000 people from all over the globe, 52 countries to be precise, join and really hang out with us on a Saturday afternoon. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with it. And I think it was just an awesome event. It was great partnering with you guys on the live team to do that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And you brought up a key point there. For anyone viewing, all of our episodes, including Slug Me 7, are available for replay on YouTube, right? A ton of that viewership comes after the live occurrence of the stream actually occurs. But you mentioned it. I mean, thousands of people tuning in on a Saturday to take in really what's a full community worldwide celebration, right? We were able to see some really inspiring, wholesome stories, right, about how we're going outside of the realm of software to help people all around the world, and not just employees. You mentioned it, Dan. This isn't really our thing. We're helping how we can, but it's you guys. It's the community who are doing the heavy lifting and the hard work and putting yourself out there. But speaking, Dan, of the live stream aspect, we put a lot of effort and thought into live streaming. I mentioned SolidWorks Live. There's really 12 plus episodes a year that you can take advantage of and kind of see, what's the best of the best in terms of how industry users are using the design software here, or simulation, or manufacturing, or data management. There's live design, right, where half the live design episodes were performed by user group leaders or champions or influencers. And you can watch all those. There's manufacturing live, but for you, my question would be as a community leader, why is it important that, users take advantage of some of this content?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of group it into that same bucket that we were talking about before, is just taking a bit of a leap, or taking that step into stepping out of your bubble, right? And maybe that means attending a user group meeting, or going to 3D Experience World, or maybe it's even as simple as this, right? Viewing some of this content, staying up to date with what's new with things outside of your bubble, right? Outside of the space that you find yourself in on a daily basis. I think the content, the guests that you folks put together really enable that, really help people to have an idea for what's going on in the community, have an idea for what's new with the software. You mentioned earlier that the what's new live stream is going off the charts in terms of views, right? And I think that's why people are hungry for that kind of content. And it's important just for you as a designer to always want to continue learning, right? Always want to continue knowing what's new and staying on the cutting edge. And I think the kind of stuff you're putting together here is exactly that.
Well, thank you, but I'll echo you and what you said about the user group network, and saying it's not really me, right? It's all of us, really. It's not just employees here. It's not just Dassault Systèmes or SolidWorks, right? It's the entire community coming together, sharing their insights, sharing their passions, and that's kind of what we're able to give a stage for, and that's totally a privilege. But hey, Dan, thank you so much for jumping on. Before we go to Danute, who is actually a SolidWorks champion, a product designer who hosted a live design episode earlier this year, we talked with GP about 3D Experience World 2023. I assume you'll be there with us in Nashville, right?
For sure.
Do you have any? What's the community plan or the community team cooking up for Nashville?
For sure, yeah, Sean. Just couple of things really quickly. The biggest thing you want to be aware of is the Hive. So the Hive is back for Nashville 2023. And GP said, right, we're picking up where we left off. The Hive was there in 2020, and it will be there this coming year in 2023. We have a lot of awesome networking sessions. So you can stop in the Hive and attend one of the networking sessions to meet like-minded individuals. But something pretty cool we're expanding on is we also carved out a space in the Hive for a podcast studio.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, if anybody here knows Kirby and Johnny and the Core podcast, for example, they're going to be broadcasting live from the Hive in their hallway hangout podcast between sessions. So that's going to be cool. You could be a live audience member. I'm sure you could be a guest if you wanted to stop in and chat with those guys. We have some other really cool community things going on as well with champions, with user group leaders throughout the week. But first and foremost, stay up to date on what's going on in the Hive, and you should be able to find those sessions too in your agenda.
Awesome. Well, Dan, I will see you soon enough. I guess next time I'll see you will probably be, as far as work functions, right? We'll probably be in February in Nashville. So
I can't believe it's like right around the corner, Sean. It's 3 years, right? 3 years since we've been there, and it feels like we were just there. It's crazy.
Yep, absolutely. All right, man. Take care.
Thanks. See you, Sean.
Okay. Well, I think I'm getting warmed up by the fire. I've been here for long enough. I'm starting to be able to feel my hands again. But yeah, I just mentioned we are going to be joined by Danute here in just a moment. Be sure to subscribe, like the episode if you liked what you've heard from GP and Dan. And oh, there's Danny. Danny, how are you?
Hi, Sean. Nice to see you. Nice pajama. I want one too.
I should bring. We should make more of these. You're absolutely right. We should definitely make more of these. I actually opened this up. I got the box. We had these made, and I opened it up, and I was like, wow, these are really nice. They feel nice too. Like sometimes clothes, maybe depending on the fabric, it's not so comfortable, but it does feel nice. And I mentioned to Dan, I brought the SolidWorks Champions mug. Because I knew you'd be on, but yeah, it's great to have you back on the live stage.
I have a hat.
Yes, there you go. I have the same one back at home. But yeah, that's one perk of being in the Champions program, right? You get access to this great network of people like Danute, fantastic product designers, content creators, but you also get cool swag. So very very cool. But Danny, I always love talking to you. Again, you're a content creator, you're a product designer. I mentioned content creation. You have your own channel, D Workshop, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you were also one of the fantastic user community members that I mentioned earlier who hosted a SolidWorks live design episode, right? And it was awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about that episode?
Yeah, well, Sean, 3D printing is around for a long time already, but we still look on it like for prototyping reasons. But now printers are more affordable, and it's becoming also a manufacturing process, especially for small series or individual products. And the thing is, there are tons of episodes in which people will describe to you how to use a printer, how to orient it for the model for printing and such things, but nobody's actually talking about how to design for 3D print, because as new process, not so new already, but it has its specifics, and it's very dependent on the design that you're doing and of the user of the 3D printer too. So I decided just to share some of my secrets about nice prints, and people can learn.
That's great. I just messaged in the chat. I said Danny is awesome. I always like to remind people we are live. Any questions you guys have, let us know. But it was a fantastic episode. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but we have just like a lot of you have with your coworkers. We have like a group chat. And I remember Brad and Andrew, two guys from my team that were running the stream. They said, I have to meet Danute in person. Like, I have to meet Danute at 3D Experience World. So hopefully you guys can meet. And they were certainly impressed with the amount of expertise that you had in 3D printing. And once again, all of these episodes are available right on YouTube, and you can go and watch Danute's episode in full later today, or maybe on your holiday break. But Danute, I wanted to ask you for as a content creator, but furthermore as a power user, right? As a power user of SOLIDWORKS, as a SOLIDWORKS champion, one of the most active SOLIDWORKS champions, in fact. What does it say to you as a champion that users, like hosts that were users of Live Design, actually had the best performing episodes of Live Design this year? Like you guys beat us. You guys beat the employees. Like you guys had more views than we did on our episodes. What does that say to you? How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm kind of not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Because when I joined the champions, I realized there are two types of champions there. One are people with great experience in different fields, and the other part are great, passionate students that are there to learn more and to become even greater than us, the ones with experience. And that's great. That's great because people there share their knowledge, and you can learn a lot for many different things, like with the user groups. But let's say it's more on demand, because you can write in the chat or personally to some champion and he can answer directly to you. So it's a great community there.
100%, yeah. And you and I actually met through the Champions program. And the episode we were actually just seeing on the side there was done by Caleb of Cove Design. That was, I think, the most viewed episode of the year, and that was all about assembly master modeling. But it wasn't just a tech tip episode or a software tutorial, and that's what I really liked about your episode as well. Thematically, they're kind of linked because we're looking at real-world examples. That was actually a product that Caleb and his team came up with. And he was showing off how he actually used SOLIDWORKS to make real products, and you were showing different 3D prints that you had done and how you think about 3D printing, and like you mentioned just now, design for 3D printing. So it's not just conceptual stuff that we get into, and I think that's super valuable. But speaking of your passion for 3D printing and design for 3D printing, you have a channel, right? D Workshop, and hopefully we can send a link out to it in the chat here. From the SOLIDWORKS account, but you talk a lot about 3D printing there, a lot about product design there. Do you have any recent projects that you want to give a shout out to and to discuss here?
Yeah, actually, I have a very recent project which me and the champions together had a lot of fun with.
That's right.
and that's the other cool thing about the champions. We have fun together, and that's the Chomper. Well, it was done for fun. That was the only reason. But then there was some simulation run of this model and such things. And probably if I got a visa and come to Nashville next year, I will bring it with me, but a bigger version. I just started doing the bigger one.
Makes sense. That's another. Oh, that's awesome. So that is. So can you just hold that up just one more time? I was just checking the chat there. Okay, so that's the bigger version.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. That would be. It's interesting. Like, sometimes with projects that you do just for fun, some of the techniques that you're employing could be used in bigger, more serious projects, right? I think that's a huge lesson. But you're right. In the Champions program, in the user community. That's how a lot of those bonds are formed, right? It's the commonality of interest and skill, but also having fun, and that's super important in life. And I appreciate all you've done, all you continue to do in the Champions community. And Danny, thank you so much for jumping on. And once again, please visit Danny's channel, D Workshop, and be sure to subscribe. But Danny, I hope to see you soon. Hope to see you in Nashville.
I hope to see you too, Sean. And yeah, one thing very important. I just want to remind everybody that what we do can always be fun. That is
a huge reminder, especially I would say this time of year, right? everyone's rushing around. You have so many things you want to do. You're trying to squeeze so much into the end of the year. Yeah, make sure you have fun. Absolutely. You're always great with these tips. So thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you, Sean.
All right. Oh man, that was a great conversation. Well, speaking of great conversations, I actually caught up a little bit earlier this week with the face of manufacturing here, Mike Buckley. So you might know Mike from Manufacturing Live. Manufacturing Live is another one of our streams. We've talked about SOLIDWORKS Live, which you're watching right now. Thank you so much for watching. Live Design, right, where we have users producing some of our most viewed content that we published here at SOLIDWORKS. But Manufacturing Live is a little bit different, and Mike Buckley is going to talk with us about that here in a bit with this conversation that we'll play. You know, it's all about catching up with industry conversations, keeping up with trends. And one thing that Mike is also going to talk with us about are some manufacturing solutions that you guys, SOLIDWORKS users, can take advantage of heading into 2023. And it's interesting, on the live design front, I believe it's the second most viewed episode at this point. It just surged up the rankings. The second most viewed episode of the year was How to Manufacture Parts in 2023. So a lot of people think of SOLIDWORKS as a design company, a design brand, sure. But manufacturing, we know, is a huge part of what you guys do and what you care about, and it's certainly evident. But yeah, let's take a look at that conversation with Mike Buckley. We are joined here by Mike Buckley, the face of manufacturing here and the host of Manufacturing Live. Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, man? It's been a couple days.
I know it's been a while, but it's strange to say, like, you and I have never actually been on each other's shows together. So
really,
welcome to SOLIDWORKS Live.
As much as we talk, I would have assumed we've been on each other's shows already.
I know, man. It's crazy, and a year's gone by. 2022 is at its end, and it's interesting. Like our SOLIDWORKS channel, like our followers, our subscribers, whether they're on YouTube or LinkedIn, they're probably used to seeing a lot of software stuff, right? You and I talk about it all the time. They're used to seeing software on live in the form of showcases, and on live design in the form of showing off builds and tech tips from our user community. It's interesting, even on live design, one of our recent live design episodes, which was called How to Manufacture Parts in 2023, I think was #1 in terms of viewership when it came to employee produced content. So manufacturing is big here, right? When I think about, though, Manufacturing Live, is it a bunch of software stuff, but just manufacturing, though, or am I way off on that?
So we're trying to have discussions a little bit different than just software, right? I mean, the world does get inundated these days with demos, picks and clicks, right? And what a lot of people are looking for in any realm is, how do we apply that, right? How do I see myself using that technology? And I think when you look at manufacturing and you look at sort of the state of where we're at right now, we're really in that mode of restructuring and retooling as a, not only a country, but worldwide. How do we produce parts better, faster, cheaper, right? And where the breakdown generally happens is nobody's really having a discussion about what a path or what their experiences are like. And what's needed to make the world a better place is not a million little point solutions, but actually a way to find a system to be successful, not just for today and tomorrow, but for 10 or 20 years from now. So when we talk in Manufacturing Live, we're generally talking about challenges, we're talking about experiences, we're talking more in a, if you were running a business or you are going through manufacturing, how are you going to restructure and retool?
Yeah, and it's been interesting to see just the journey that Manufacturing Live has taken, right? And like you mentioned, it's a different type of stream. Like, you're talking about hiring practices, how to run a business, trends you're seeing in the industry, which is huge. I don't think I've seen a single frame of software, right? You're just addressing sort of very generally industry-wide topics and questions. And I've said this before. I'm really excited to see not only our manufacturing team growing rapidly. I just mentioned the How to Manufacture Parts in 2023 episode of Live Design, delivered by Chris McBain, as well as Noah Zeef, who has a master's in additive manufacturing.
But we're also seeing, I think, the amount of offerings that we have on the manufacturing side growing as well. So, a lot of our channel viewers, our subscribers, right, they may be using SolidWorks. And, what are some solutions that we should be looking out for on the manufacturing side, and why should the audience care?
Yeah, so we're adding a lot of things based on market feedback, obviously, right? We have an enormous amount of manufacturing capabilities in Dassault. A lot of manufacturers now are all the same level. It used to be, automotive and aerospace were a little bit different than the rest, but now everybody's automation requirements are coming up. So, we have factory flow simulation, again, part of that restructuring. We have robotic programming that came out earlier this year for the mainstream. Even in our CAM solutions, if we're looking at subtractive, we're here coming up very shortly in FD01. You're going to see 2D nesting for fab. You're going to see some specialized tools for laser water jet plasma. As you mentioned, additive, we're coming out, with our additive component for that from Delmia as well, to allow you to build a nest in 3D instead of 2D, to put all those things together, and there's lots of things around how do we make it happen, right? Which happens to be the tagline of Delmia, but it's the reality, right? At the end of the day, we need to design, validate, and simulate a better product, but we still have to make it out in the shop floor on time and on budget.
Yeah, and I can say to the audience, and in the background here, I mentioned I work on the same team with Noah and Chris. They love manufacturing, and even in our team group chat, they've said it's we're coming up on the holidays. It's like Christmas morning for them when even over the past months or in years in some cases, they're able to get access to the new technology and say like, oh, I cannot wait to use this and check it out and really dig into it, so we can show you guys here on YouTube and LinkedIn all that it can do, right? But yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, we've been testing a lot. I've moved this last year, built a new building. I'm just getting ready to bring my machines back online again, so we can hopefully have a little more video content along with Chris and Craig and David and John Milbury, all the people that are part of the group that I'm with for manufacturing.
Awesome. Well, hey, so everyone, I say this all the time, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell to ensure you're notified, because this upcoming Tuesday, right, we're airing this on Thursday, this upcoming Tuesday, we're gonna have Mike here and Chris McBain, we've mentioned a few times, on Manufacturing Live, discussing the year of manufacturing. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about that episode?
Yeah, so first off, Chris and I go back, a couple of decades now. So when him and I get together, it's like telling war stories a little bit. So we're going to get on for an hour and we're going to have some fun and some jokes. And, we're going to recap everything that we've talked about this year and sort of the theme that we've seen from a lot of customers, a lot of business owners, things like that. The one thing that constantly comes up is people are restructuring. How does that work for us, and where does the future go? So that's really what we're going to talk about, but it'll be a fun ride. Like I said, Chris and I have quite a few war stories that we'll throw in along the way.
Yeah, Chris has been on Manufacturing Live a couple times already. I know, the first time I think was when he was the director of additive manufacturing at HP. Yep. And he's been on a couple times as a team member here, but yeah, always great to watch you guys. And we have a lot of exciting things to look forward to in 2023, right? We have 3D Experience World, right, with the shop floor and all that's going on there, and just a ton more with Manufacturing Live. So Mike, thank you so much for jumping on here to SolidWorks Live, and yeah, I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah, sounds great. We'll get you on next year on Manufacturing Live. We'll fill a slot.
Yeah, you gotta do me a solid, man.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you so much to Mike for spending some time with us. Like we mentioned, Manufacturing Live will be live again this upcoming Tuesday. So as much as this is a best of 2022, we're not wrapped yet. And we'll talk about even some more episodes that are coming up soon on the live stream schedule for 2022 outside of that episode. Now, one of the things I mentioned at the very, very beginning of this episode with our sort of welcome and intro was that, as much as we're sort of holistically, bringing you guys into the fold as content creators, and, if you go on the SolidWorks YouTube today, you'll see a ton of episodes of live design made by users. You'll see a bunch of community members on SolidWorks Live, right? Mike's always interviewing people from the industry out on Manufacturing Live. If you search something on YouTube that's SolidWorks related, you're not just going to find SolidWorks channel stuff. You're going to find stuff that you guys have made as content creators, right? Maybe it's a tech tip, or it's a course, right? Maybe it's an entire course, or maybe it's something that's showing off how to use 3D printing in an interesting way, like we talked about with Danute. There's so many ways that you can use SolidWorks as a part of your toolkit to make amazing content that reaches tens or hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of people. And we're lucky to be joined by some of those creators today. So if we could welcome everyone to some of these creators. We are so lucky to be joined by Arjan, Raf, and JBV. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you. Excellent, thank you.
We have a crazy amount of content creator superpowers right here with us in this little 4-box look. Thank you guys so much for jumping on. The buckets of content that I mentioned just a moment ago, many of you sort of touch on multiple of those actually. So if we could, and I'm sure many of us even in the chat, and if you have, let us know. Many of us have learned certainly a thing or two from each of you. If you're a fan of one of their channels, or if you're a follower, again, let us know in the chat. But first of all, I just want to give you guys a chance to formally introduce yourselves. So Arjan, if you could.
Sean, hi. I wanted to say hello to you and to your viewers. My name is Arjan from the YouTube channel SolidWorks Tutorials with Arjan. Some of your viewers might know me already. I have been active on YouTube since 2011, and I'm very glad to be here.
For sure, you're like the tutorials guy, by the way. Like it's crazy. I'm sure maybe some of you could attest to this. I'm going on and I'm watching an engineering video, or maybe I'm watching a video by the Hacksmith or something, and you're in the pre-roll ad. Your tutorials pop up. I'm like, oh.
I am. I've been annoying a lot of my friends and they have been, texting me and say, I have seen enough of your face. So
I've seen enough.
I'm getting that side of it too.
Well, awesome. We'll hear more about your content in just a bit. But again, just keeping on the trend of introductions here. Sure. JBV, if you could introduce yourself here.
Thanks, Sean. I'm Jay. I'm from JBV Creative. And yeah, I'm a artist engineer, and I decided to combine the two, and that's what JBV Creative is.
Awesome. I love your title, by the way, engineer or not. It's something that I have 2 young kids, 4 and 2. I will certainly try to push that as a potential career path. It sounds amazing.
It's a self-created title, but I think it works.
It works for you. We'll talk more about that in just a second when we get to more details about all your different projects. But Raf, if you could introduce yourself as well.
Hey Sean, hello everyone. My name is Rafael Destai, and I'm a SolidWorks influencer.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll talk about all the different areas that you address in just a moment. But to circle back, Arjan, we've talked a lot about, in this episode in particular, kind of the common thread of all of the content we're creating is, the spirit of learning and education. And your channel, right, is all about that, right? Could you tell us a little bit more about your work and why you do it, how you got started, just the full story?
Well, Sean, in order to tell you about the why, I have to take you back to 2011, where I was only a student in biomedical engineering. SolidWorks was one of the few passions I knew in life, still is, and I was really good at it among my friends in the university. So they would come to me and ask for questions, but I didn't have anyone to go to. So I would search on YouTube for answers, but I believe between years 2010 or 2009 and 2011, there were only 3 single videos about SolidWorks on YouTube.
And at some point, I had enough. I thought somebody has to do something about this. So I posted my very first low quality, funny, bad video on YouTube about Loft, which got a lot of attention. And I was really happy that I'm giving back to the community. So years went on and I was not active on YouTube anymore until 2013, where I actually decided to help SOLIDWORKS beginners who didn't have any other reference to learn SOLIDWORKS. I mean, there were references, but not in the form of videos, step-by-step tutorials to follow. So that's why the whole SOLIDWORKS tutorials actually started. I uploaded 3 episodes for absolute beginners with zero background in any CAD software, from the moment they open up SOLIDWORKS for the first time until they actually know their way around, know how to select the plane, you know, do a 2D sketch, how to turn that sketch into a 3D object. And I kept doubling down on this until a point where I realized, oh, it's been 12 years. I've been working with SOLIDWORKS for thousands of hours, and I have to actually make something that makes more sense. Because while YouTube is a great source to learn anything and everything, the issue with YouTube is the lack of organization. So you'll find every information you like and you're looking for, but there is no sequence to it. It's just random bits and pieces of information. You watch my video, you understand that, and you're on your own again. So you have to go find the next video that is, you know, the continuation of that or the prequel of that. So I decided to build a course, which I did back in 2019. I quit my job as a biomedical engineer. I doubled down on this and released a course called SOLIDWORKS Course Pro for 20 hours. This 20 hours of content starts from point blank, goes all the way to after CSWP, the certification exam. And it comes with a variety of tutorials, mock exams, support, and etc. And I have been getting great feedback from my students, which actually every time I go and read those feedback, it makes my day. So yeah, to answer your question, that's how everything started. There was nothing there. I decided to do something about it.
Well, there's so much that I could say about what you just said. I want to start maybe just with the beginning thing that you mentioned. You know, making a video that you today, for whatever reason, you know, maybe you don't think is your best video, like just to put it like really generally. I think everyone here in this 4-frame look that we have going on right now, I think everyone can say, you know, we all make videos. The first video we created, we would just generally say maybe to our standards today, it wasn't good, or, you know, kind of sucked. Like, I think
I can tell you why. I can tell you why, but when I tell you that, you cannot unsee it, and that ruins the whole video for you.
But it's interesting, even though you say that, right? It's that video probably helps so many people understand lofts better, and I'm sure your production quality, which I admire a lot. Like I'm sure it wasn't nearly what it is today. You know, maybe your method of storytelling and instruction, maybe that was way different. Maybe you would say it wasn't as developed, maybe as what you're obviously very skillful at today. But I think it's a message, you know, we're always thinking about how to help the community. It's a message to others, which is, you know, don't be afraid to just post something and to try and to put yourself out there. And I've heard people say, and I think you guys would agree on this frame, like everyone that's in this conversation, if you're not, you know, almost ashamed or embarrassed of like your first piece of content or even something you made a year ago, then maybe you're not growing enough. Maybe you're not trying enough things.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah.
That's a huge lesson. But you know, JBV, moving over to you, you know, I think as far as like looking for sources of inspiration and these you know, amazing projects that really inspire your imagination, I think that's at the core of what makes, to me, your channel, JBV Creative, you know, really special. Could you tell us a little bit more about what your channel is about?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Yeah, so I was working as a corporate engineer, and I was just kind of feeling like, you know, like a little frustrated by the constraints that exist in corporate engineering. So, you know, generally speaking, cost is always an issue or manufacturability or just like general practicality. And there's just so much fun stuff you can do with engineering. So many cool mechanisms that don't always have like a real application in real life. And I wanted to just like play with engineering. So I decided to combine all of my engineering skills into an art practice, because with art, you don't necessarily need like a real reason to do something, or you can like create a different reason. So like if you see this video that's showing here, this is something I created just because I thought it'd be funny to shoot ping pong balls and then just like have them repeat the pattern. And it allowed me to just like get really creative with the engineering side. So I coupled the launching mechanism with the lifting mechanism. Like there's no reason for me to do that. It was just something fun and it was a good challenge. And it's kind of led to what I do today, which is I create content. Some of it is like more in depth explaining the process of design. Some of it's more explaining the principles behind the mechanisms and the engineering involved. And hopefully I'm inspiring people who love engineering, and hopefully I'm inspiring people who don't know a thing about engineering to just like understand that it's something you can do that's like enjoyable, something you can be passionate about, something you can have a good time with.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just looking down at my phone here to check in on the chat. You guys are getting a lot of love, I'll tell you, in the SOLIDWORKS community. Ariana, I see you getting a bunch of shout outs, for your segment and all that you've done. I see Brad in the chat saying that Raph looks great in cobalt blue. Is engineer not similar to engineer? I like that. Let's see. And then, Josh says, encouraging my daughter to combine her art and engineering talent. So you guys are inspiring tons of people. It's interesting when you're creating content at great scale. All of you are, everyone here that's on the screen. But, I think for you, JBVJ, since we're, on the topic of your channel, we were talking about off camera, a lot of your shorts, these bite-sized pieces of content that YouTube now offers, they're getting, millions, tens of millions of views. And that's a lot of how, especially, younger people, kids are looking to consume content. So anyone that's maybe looking to get into the field and feels like maybe engineers just, math and numbers and it's super rigid, the way that you combine art and engineering, which, you can find in a lot of other spheres, a lot of other parts of the world and a lot of other industries, almost every industry you could think of, that approach, that way of thinking is hugely inspiring, and I think is a carryover theme to a lot of the content that we all create. It's something to strive for. So I super appreciate that is what I want to say. Raph, to move to you, Raphael, you and I, we go way back, right? I think I've known you the longest out of everyone here. You're all over. You hosted one of the most viewed live design episodes of the year. We can see a lot of your work on the SOLIDWORKS blog with your tech tips and tutorials. You're on Instagram, you're on YouTube. Tell us about your work and why you do it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for having me here. I do three things. Number one, tear down videos that quickly teach you the inner working mechanisms of interesting products all around us, which helps you build your mental mechanism library that you can pull from these mechanisms when you solve your everyday problems at work. Number two, podcast interviews with senior engineers. And number three, as you mentioned before, fun Instagram reels that go viral. Why I do what I do. Not everyone has had access to mentors that I had, which have over 20 years of experience. And these mentors have taught me and corrected me along this journey. And I want to take that knowledge that I acquired from my mentors and the mistakes that I made, several, and pass it on to you through my videos so you can expedite your learning curve using SOLIDWORKS. And I believe in learning by doing and documenting my journey so we can all learn together. And that, if I could chime in on the conversation we were having before,
sure.
That a lot of times before I post a video, it almost always feels like it's not good enough. But I say, done is better than perfect. A lot of times when it comes to marketing and video creation, and I get it out there, next time you know, it's got 50,000 views and people love it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's huge. Before we go, this isn't something we talked about, but I think it's kind of fitting with the overall theme of this conversation as it wraps up. Not all of you have to give a piece of advice, but to your point, Raf, you just gave some really good advice to someone that has a lot of know-how, has a lot of experience, and is thinking, hey, maybe I'd like to share it with the world. And this question's an open question to any of you, and it's very general. Is there any advice you'd give to anyone watching today that feels they have a lot to offer, whether it's industry expertise or it's how to make things or how to think about problems, but is just afraid to jump out there and start making tech blogs or start producing content? Any piece of advice?
Yeah, I can definitely chime in. For me, the biggest thing, like I always try to remember myself, is failure is just learning. And so if you can reframe anything that you do, if it doesn't turn out the way that you expected, it's all input that allows you to improve. So like the more you do things, the better you get. And so if you expect to succeed like right off the bat, there's a good chance that you're going to fail because your goal is not to learn. And so if you turn your whole goal into learning through doing, then everything that you do is going to add to that goal.
That is an interesting approach. Yeah, and I take the same sort of mental approach to a lot of things in life, to be completely honest. Basically continue to reframe what your goals are. Have short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, but make sure you define all of them, right? Because, for example, if you only have long-term goals of where you are to be, you might never get there, right? You might never get there. You might not be able to sustain. So I think that's a huge lesson. Yeah, I guess before we move on, any other pieces of advice you'd like to give? It's just for anyone.
Oh, sorry. I missed the first bit. Were you talking to me?
Oh, no, I was just saying for anyone. Any piece of advice you'd like to give to any potentially aspiring content creators that might be afraid to get out there and try it, but feel like they have a lot to give?
Just go for it. Just go for it.
100%. Yeah, and that's simple advice. Very simple. If you're going to retain something,
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one. I agree with the both that were shared before me. Document the journey a lot of times. If it's something cool you're working on, just share it real quick. And don't get so caught up in the video editing. Nowadays, low quality videos, people love them.
That's a great piece of advice. Because you can watch something that's like super polished and it's someone who's been doing it for years, right? But they didn't, like you mentioned, Ariane, you don't start there, and most people don't start there, and that's really, really important to bring up. So just checking in on the chat, a lot of your fans, maybe people that have been fans of yours for years, or maybe fans that you just made today. But for the three of you, thank you so much for jumping on and making the content that you guys create and I know work so hard at. Just to go around to each of you one more time, Ariane, where can we keep up with all that you're doing?
Obviously, my YouTube channel, SolidWorks Tutorials with Ariane, has been serving SolidWorks enthusiasts and mostly beginners since 2011. I'm very active there. I try to read every single comment and get back to them as much as I can. I don't do it on a daily basis, but once in a week or so, I sit down and read every single comment. So if you want to reach out to me, you can do so by watching my videos and subscribing to my channel if you haven't. And for a little bit more serious students who want to get in touch with me on my private forum and get my direct support and want to go all the way, I highly recommend to go on my website and check out my course, because I actually, just like how I started my YouTube channel because there wasn't much on YouTube, I did this course because I felt the lack of a sequence, at least, to teach SolidWorks as passionately as I look at it and the way I want my students to learn it. So these two are the best way to follow me. I'm on other platforms too, but mostly active on YouTube and on my own website.
Sure. Yeah. Be sure to give Ariane a follow. And same question for you, Jay. Where's the best place for us to keep up with you and your projects?
Yeah. So on all social medias, I am at JBV Creative. So basically, most of my content is short form, vertical video, gives you a little bit of information about design engineering. But on YouTube, there is some longer form videos as well that go into more of the nitty gritty of the engineering behind all my projects.
You got to hold that up again and just please just do it closer.
Sure.
I'm so envious of you guys, like how you just think of doing these cool things. That's awesome. So there you go, at JBV Creative. And then Raf, you as well. What's again, same question, best platform to keep in touch with you, or just where can we find you?
It doesn't look as good as JBB Creatives, but this is how you can find me, Rafael Testay.
It's good, man.
On all social platforms.
All social platforms. Cool. You guys are easy to find, and a lot of people have found you. And thank you so much for, again, all the effort you've put into making the amazing content that you've created over the years. And I know you guys will continue to create as you grow your channels, your influence. Once again, you have a lot of fans out there I can see in the chat. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for watching.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. 2022 is coming to a close. We will be back next year, so just give you a sneak peek at next year before we talk a little bit about the rest of the stuff we have going on in 2022. Again, it's not over just yet. In January for Live, we'll have an extension of some of the What's New content that you guys have really liked, apparently, and we appreciate every one of you that tunes in. We'll have more What's New content in January, and then in February, like we talked about with GP and Dan and Danny and almost everyone, right? We have a lot going on at 3D Experience World. On the live side, we'll be live at World 3 days straight. You can look forward to great demos, interesting conversation. We'll be talking with members of the industry community from around the Nashville area. We have just tons of great content in store. It's hard for me to really talk about it because we don't want to give away too much of the surprise, like GP said. But it certainly will be worth your time. You'll definitely enjoy it. But yeah, we're not done. We're not done in 2022. 2022 is on its way out, but we're not done yet. So tomorrow, Friday, and next week, we have more content for you guys on the live streaming side. Coming up tomorrow, we have live design. So live design will be multi-body remodeling. So this is a follow-up to the assembly topic, pretty much. We had assembly master modeling, which is done by Caleb. So you think about it, it's like a multi-component or multi-body, multi-part approach, and we're going to be touching on that idea, or at least sort of a cousin, I guess, if you will, of that idea tomorrow with Brian Zayas. Now, Brian has been into multi-body modeling for many, many years, probably like 10 to 15 years. But what he's going to do, he's going to be in the shop, and he's actually going to be taking you through a project that he did at his house, like a remodeling project. And so whether you're looking to do a home remodeling project, or you're just looking to get tips and tricks on when and where multi-body modeling in SOLIDWORKS is appropriate, or even just more generally inside of 3D CAD, you will definitely pick up some helpful tips and tricks tomorrow. Again, that's Friday. It'll be on at 12 p.m. Eastern. And then, just like I mentioned with Mike Buckley on the manufacturing side, Manufacturing Live will have its own wrap-up episode coming up this Tuesday. So it's the 2022 Manufacturing Holiday Recap. And it's not just about Manufacturing Live and all the great conversations that they've had with industry leaders over the course of 2022, but it's also about, what did both Mike and Chris McBain, who will be the co-host for that episode, see across the manufacturing landscape in 2022? And then, what are their predictions for 2023 when it comes to the manufacturing landscape and the manufacturing live stream? So we are certainly looking forward to that. Just want to give a huge thank you, by the way, to all of you for your viewership, your care, your involvement, whether it's been making content with us, whether it's been tuning in with us here on live and YouTube. One more time, please be sure to subscribe. Like this content if you learned something, if you became aware of a new creator that you're definitely going to follow along with over the holiday break. Certainly appreciate all of our guests' time, taking time during this busy holiday season. Thank you to the SOLIDWORKS marketing team. Thank you so much to the team at Kramer for bringing me inside and making me feel warm. And one more time, we will see hopefully a lot of you in Nashville in February. And hey, if you're not convinced yet, we're going to share that teaser that we played with GP here to close out the episode. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's take a look at that teaser. Take care.